Hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Or if you haven't subscribed, please click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest Star Trek Discovery news. Today I'm talking to you about the new promo photos that have just come out to promote episode 7 of Star Trek Discovery Season 3 entitled Unification III. This is going to be a very exciting episode, I think, because it sort of feels like it might be a continuation of the Unification 1 and 2 episodes we saw way back in Season 5 of Next Generation. So we're going to have a look at these new promo photos for this week's upcoming Discovery episode. But before we do that, here's a very quick product review for you might be interested in. I was actually fortunate enough the other day for the kind people at Eaglemoss Hero Collector to send me one of these amazing DS9 models. One thing that really impressed me right out of the box with this is that it's actually made of metal. The detail level on these things is really, really amazing. I've got collectibles in the past where they've been a little bit plasticky or whatever, but these are solid products. There's an actual weight. This is actually heavy. And the thing that always impresses me more than anything else is the price point on these things. So often I go into collectible stores these days and you see kind of collectible figurines and they're like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Whereas the Eaglemoss Hero Collectibles, they're a good price point. They're under $100 for what you're getting. It's a quality detailed collectible item. I highly recommend checking out the Eaglemoss products at Hero Collector. Links on screen right now, or I'll put that in the description below as well. So in this week's episode of Discovery, the episode synopsis reads as follows. While grappling with the fallout of her recent actions and what her future might hold, Burnham agrees to represent the Federation in an intense debate about the release of politically sensitive but highly valuable burn data. Right, so let's get into these photos. So our first photo is of Tilly and Burnham. They're in the science lab, and it looks like they're going over the more recent data that Burnham's acquired to pinpoint the origins of when the burn happened. She's obviously been going around and collecting these little black box flight recorders from exploded Federation starships. And her and Tilly are going through some of that data, working out exactly at what point various different starships exploded and see if they can track down a point of origin to where the burn originated from. I go over this a little bit in my trailer and sneak peek scene video, which I put out a couple of days ago. If you haven't seen that yet, I'll stick the link up in the top corner here for you to click on after you've watched this video. You can take a look at that. It goes into a bit more information about this scene with Tilly and Burnham trying to unlock the secrets of the origin of the burn. In our next photo, we've got Lieutenant Reese and Lieutenant Nilsson. There's a lot of lieutenants on this ship. I was thinking the other day, with Burnham being essentially fired as first officer and, you know, reduced to just science officer only duties, it makes me think, who is going to get promoted to number 1? Because the ship seems to be just full of kind of either ensigns or junior grade lieutenants. When you think about Reese and Bryce and Nilsson, Tilly, there's no one on the ship that was qualified. I think they had the opposite problem in Next Generation. I think in Next Generation, they had way too many lieutenant commanders. Whereas on Discovery, the ship's sort of just jam-packed full of very kind of junior officers, I think, apart from maybe Stamets. But then Stamets is sort of like chief engineer, I suppose. He's not going to be able to get out of his chief engineer duties to be first officer. I don't know, maybe Reno, but then again, Reno is kind of like sort of co-chief engineer almost, so she can't really do it. There seems to be a bit of a power vacuum, I think. So maybe Lieutenant Willard from the 32nd Century will get assigned as Saru's new first officer, perhaps. We shall soon see. In our next photo, we have Owo and Bryce and Detmer, all looking on something that looks like they're in, I'm thinking maybe engineering perhaps. They all seem quite happy and they've all got sort of smiles on their faces. Something's going on that's tickle their fancy, so to speak. So what they're all smiling about, your guess is as good as mine. We've got a shot here of Lieutenant Stamets with his new comm badge on. I'm liking the new comm badges. They're kind of multifunctional devices, communicator slash tricorder slash personal transporter type thing, depending on how you kind of, you know, gesture and so forth. They're kind of nifty little things. I really liked in last week's episode the way Linus was kind of getting the hang of his comm badge. I think they're called tri-comm badges, so it's tricorder, comm badge, transporter, you know, 3 functions, I guess. Somebody said in the comments of one of my videos, which I thought was really good, that Linus using his new tri-comm badge was kind of like your grandpa, teaching your grandpa how to use the new model of cell phone, which I thought was kind of funny. Stamets has got a bit of a smirk on his face in this video, something This is probably linking to the last still that we all saw the other officers all kind of in engineering smiling. So something is going on in engineering that has got all of our bridge officers with a bit of a smile on their face. We shall see what that is in this week's episode. Our next shot is of Dr. Culber in medical, looking a bit serious. Culber's normally got a sort of a half smirk on his face, but he's looking a bit serious in this episode, sitting in his desk chair there. He's even looking a bit sad in this next shot. We've got a couple of shots of him in this series of promo photos. We got Tilly and Saru here in the ready room. We'll zoom in on this display on Saru's desk here and see if there's anything we can see or make out. But I think it's just a star map of the area of space they happen to be in. Again, some people were speculating that maybe Tilly gets promoted to first officer, but I just don't see it happening. She's only an ensign. She hasn't got the experience under her belt. I think she's, in the first season, she was only really a cadet. So it was only really in season 2 she was made full ensign. So you wouldn't put somebody who's only had really a year or two's experience in Starfleet up as the first officer of a starship, particularly a starship as important as Discovery is in the 32nd century with its spore drive and so forth. So I know there's this bond going on between Tilly and Saru. I just don't think she's just qualified yet to be bumped up to first officer. Our next shot is of Giorgio. I think this is in the medical bay as part of those shots we saw earlier with Culber at his desk looking quite serious. Maybe the weird things that are going on with Giorgio in terms of her blackouts, the flash images she's having of past incidents that she experienced in the Terran universe, where she's passing out, blacking out on the floor. She's, I'm guessing, gone to Dr. Culber and say, hey, Dr. Culber, some weird stuff's going on. I'm passing out. I'm having weird flashbacks of things that happened to me back in the Terran Empire. Give us some pills to help me get over this situation, I think, is probably what she's gone to see Culber about, and would explain why Culber is looking so serious and kind of a bit perplexed, maybe, in the last couple of shots we had on screen just before. I wonder if Culber has got any kind of insight as to what's going on with Giorgio here, and whether there's anything that we can put our finger on in terms of, did our Section 31 chief, Mr. David Cronenberg, which I think the character's name is Kovac or Kovic or Kovic. We haven't heard his name mentioned on screen yet, so we've yet to actually confirm exactly what his name is, but we probably will soon. And in our next shot, we've got Giorgio looking rather relaxed here in Culber's office there. Whatever medical news he happens to maybe have given her regarding her blackouts and pass-outs and weird hallucinations and flashbacks and whatever she happens to have going on, she doesn't seem overly concerned about it, but let's face it, Giorgio never is. She always puts on this front of strength. I think you could, tell her that her head's hanging off by a thread and she'd probably still give some quirky, quippy, sarcastic, sort of snarky line to whoever she happens to be talking to. Maybe Culber is more concerned about what's going on than Giorgio is, or maybe she's just putting on a brave front. So there you have it. There are our promo photos for this week, and obviously a couple of days' time we've got episode 7. I'm really keen to see what's going on with the Romulans and the Vulcans and how they've unified themselves and so forth based on the shots we saw in the trailer. Don't forget to click on that link up there to check out my trailer and sneak peek video that I did a couple of days ago if you haven't already seen that. And I'll be back in a few days' time for the review of episode 7. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out my merchandise page, some new merch coming soon. And click on the join button too if you're interested in becoming a Sci-Finatics member and checking out all the great perks that getting a bit more deep into the channel can offer you. Until next time, I'll catch you then.